Hey, podcast. How are you guys today? Hang in there with us one moment so that I can go ahead and start the Facebook Live. For some reason, the devil is a lie. We are, for whatever reason, having some difficulty now. My phone.
No, we're not having difficulty on the podcast.
Yes, we are.
Not on the podcast. We're ready to go here. But I want to remind everybody, Happy New Year. And don't forget to check us out on...
now we're live.
On Google+, Facebook. We are on iHeartRadio and Spotify, as well as Spreaker. So you guys tune in, and we thank you guys. Hope everybody had a safe and happy Christmas, or as I call it, Holiday Madness. So,
you know what? Facebook is not responding. It says load network.
Mm-hmm.
Cancel. Something's going on here.
Everybody's coming in. Here we go.
I don't know what's going on. Okay, guys, so talk to them for just a second.
Let me talk to you guys for a minute. As we're going into the new year, I want you guys, let me give a special announcement. My mom has been burning up the kitchen for the last 3 days. I see my mom like every 2 years sometimes, or every other year she'll come in. And she said something that was very poignant. She said, Donovan, I like your delivery, baby. I mean, I like the show, baby. But it's your delivery. It could be a little bit better. I was like, Mom, you don't know what you're talking about. No, I didn't talk to her like that. But she did say I could work on my delivery. So.
All right, everybody. My apologies. Let me just go and give you more. I'll tell you guys why I'm apologizing to you guys. I'm going to go ahead and start with what had happened was. What had happened was I live about 20 minutes or so, give or take, from Donovan. And as I pulled up into the driveway, I realized I forgot my phone. And I used my phone to do the show. I brought my iPhone, but my iPhone wasn't charged. Just like a nightmare, you guys. And my phone is still tripping. I don't know why it's doing this. You guys bear with me one moment. I'm sorry.
Is that your iPhone or is that your...
No, this is my regular phone.
Regular phone.
It's got a whole lot of stuff going on with it.
Well, the good thing is we're not starting off the new year like this.
Right. We're ending the year
like this.
We're ending the year like this, right. But they say how you end the year is how you go into the year. So, but we're not going to claim any of that. Right. So, hopefully, I'm freezing really bad here. Am I freezing on your end?
You're on live right now. Let me take a look. And again, I apologize for the thing. You are freezing.
Am I still freezing?
Yeah,
you now
freezing.
Because I'm moving right now on mine.
Okay, there you go.
You still see me? Okay. Yeah. Oh, I don't know why it's freezing. My phone has never done this.
Yeah, our girl Shantae is watching. Patricia Johnson says you're not working properly. So
because I don't see any comments on here.
Well, the thing is, it's black.
Really?
Yeah, I'm looking at you and it's black. So let's see.
Am I still like horrible on you guys' end? You still see black on your end?
Yeah, hold on. Okay, there it goes.
Any comments on
You're good.
Okay, I think I'm up and running, you guys.
There you go.
You know what? My apologies. It's still freezing. I don't know what's going on. Am I still like horrible on you guys' end? You still see black on your end? Okay, maybe it's just me. I'm tripping. Okay, let's get started right now. Okay, you guys. So anyway, welcome to the Demetra K Show. It is my pleasure to be here with you. I'd like to say a big shout out to Donovan Sadiq for making this all happen. As I said earlier, you guys, I am horribly late because I left my phone at home. And the phone that I left at home is the one that I used to do the show. And so I couldn't do it without it. Also a big, huge thank you to my daughter for running back and getting the phone, which wasn't close. It was about 20 miles each way. And so anyway, we are going to go ahead and get started.
Do it.
Also, she says, because you're about to, yeah, Amanda says I'm freezing because I'm about to shed light on the bird box. Okay. She's still freezing. I don't know why it's doing that. But anyway, I'm going to keep talking. Hopefully these things will work itself out. And so also a big giant thank you to Marcus Guyton for always helping us and spread the message because like us, he believes in the vision of this show. And so we also give a big shout out to him. And also a big thank you to those of you guys who are trying to listen to this show. Although we're having some technical difficulties, thank you to those on the podcast and then eventually you guys on YouTube. Thank you for always being here and helping us figure things out. And so it is always the purpose of this show to promote things that go in the community like Black knowledge, love, understanding so that we can be an even better people. And so, as you guys can see here, we are going to be discussing the Bird Box. And some of you guys, I'm pretty sure most of you guys know it is. Donovan, who lives under a rock, does not know what the Bird Box is. And so I'll go into it, and I won't spoil it for anybody who's never seen the movie, but we'll go into it just a little bit, and then I'll tell you how I came about that.
Right. Another reason I haven't seen the Bird Box yet, I've been dealing with my mom. And stuff
Donovan's
like that,
mom is visiting, drove all the way by herself from Louisiana to visit. I
call it Louisiana.
Her baby.
Yeah,
and so anyway, as you guys also know, we are going into the new year, and so we just want to end this off on a great note. Hey, Justice Raw. And I will address all you guys' comments. Also, please, if you guys are not friends with me for whatever reason, please click on the link that Marcus has provided, and you guys will see it throughout the show so that you're able to comment. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. Okay. And so I already see you guys' comments about the Bird Box, but I'll go ahead and get into my commentary. Okay. And so the title is Dear Black People, Please Pay Attention to the Bird Box. Now, some of you are probably rolling your eyes at the title because you're thinking that the title is pretty cheesy. And you know what? I am guilty as charged. It's pretty cheesy. And I thought, you know what? Why not capitalize on it while it's hot? Everybody's talking about the Bird Box, right? But actually, I cannot take credit for this title. Actually, Al gave me the title and the idea because he's like, what are you going to talk about? I said, I don't know. He says, why don't you try to tie something to the Bird Box? And so this is actually Al's idea. All right, and so, but in all seriousness, I want to use the movie to drive a point home. So by now, I'm assuming that most people have heard of the movie The Bird Box, starring Sandra Bullock, that premiered on Netflix just over a week ago. Okay. Now, it is also said that 45 million Netflix accounts, I guess, were tuned in to the movie, but 75 million people watched it, because I guess on accounts you can have certain a several amount of people on the accounts, and so it is said that 75 million people watched it, but 45 million accounts were tapped into watch the Bird Box. So, and it was also like the biggest movie ever for Netflix. So that's how huge this movie was, and that was in part due to people posting and talking about it online. Saw memes and people making jokes and just having their own little opinion about the movie, and so. Without spoiling the movie, I will just give you the gist of it. Sandra's character, Marjorie, was one of the few people. Was that her name? Mallory. Her name was Mallory. Okay. Sandra's character, Mallory, was one of the few people who survived an evil entity that caused people to do bad things to themselves and to others. Now, in the movie, she carried around a box with birds in it. Sandra's character, Mallory, was one of the few people who survived the evil entity that caused people to do bad things to themselves. Now, in the movie, I said that already. She carried around a box with birds in it. Now, the purpose of the birds were to warn her when danger was near so she could prepare to save herself and her children. Okay, which is why the movie was called The Bird Box again, because she carried around a box with birds in it. All right. There were warnings. The birds were warning signs of danger. Now, what does this have to do with Black people? You might be asking yourself. Well, for a long time, we have been ignoring many warnings that we've been getting from various sources and various people. Now, let's take it way back, shall we? One of the warnings that we as a people have received came from the Bird Box of Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was a Black nationalist revolutionary that created the United Negro Improvement Association that strived to unite all Black people through Pan-Africanism. Okay? He warned that if we did not separate and do for self, we would continue to spiral downward and forever be dependent upon the oppressor. Now, that was in the 1920s. Okay? So that was the first Bird Box warning that we as Black people got, was Marcus Garvey. Are y'all following me so far?
I'm following you. All
right. Now, another Bird Box was that of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. As a leader of the Nation of Islam, founded in the 1930s, he's also pleaded with Black people to separate and to do for self in order to have freedom, justice, and equality, because if we didn't, we would eventually perish as a people. Again, that was in the 1930s. Okay, that was another Bird Box warning, per se. I like how I'm using that Bird Box. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Malcolm X was also a Bird Box, if you will. Malcolm was the national spokesman for the Nation of Islam in the 1950s and 60s. He was considered to be a Black nationalist and also believed through the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that Black people needed to separate and do for self. Malcolm was very clear that it should be done by any means necessary. As you guys know, that was what he was known for saying. He felt that if we didn't separate and do for self, that we would never progress as a people. Again, that was in the 1950s and 60s. Are y'all following me? All right. So now, Dr. Claude Anderson, who is the creator of the term and concept Powernomics, that maps out economics and race in order to help Black people overcome the racial wealth gap, has also been a bird box, if you will. He has been warning us since the 1980s until modern day that if we as Black people do not start practicing group economics or do for self, we are going to eventually be non-existent. And he's very clear about that. He says we are not able to compete at all on any level because we are at the bottom of everything, you name it, money. Where health-wise we're bad off. I mean, just politics, anything you can think of that other races compete and there's competing successfully, we're not even in the running. You know how you have those people who sit the bench? I don't even think we're sitting the bench.
Well, we are number one in population ratio to prison to population.
Well, yeah, we ain't talking about the bad stuff.
Okay.
We're talking about the good stuff to help us to compete, right?
Gotcha.
Okay, so he constantly warned us that time is running out for Black people. Okay, so what are the principles of group economics? Just briefly, for those of you guys who don't know, number one is economics, ownership, and independence. So we got to own businesses and build businesses and all of that. Two is politics, control and demand justice. The justice system, the same thing, control and demand justice through like the police departments, the courts, and things like that. Obviously, we need the media. We need to own and control our own narrative. So he is saying that we own less than 3% of the media, which is why you see a lot of these negative stereotypes go out about Black people, because we don't, let's say virtually, we don't own enough media to combat the negativity we see about us. So we need to be able to do that. And then 5 is education, in order to pass knowledge from one generation to the next. So that doesn't necessarily mean college or university per se. It just means, because he also talks about too, that there's a lot of us who are going to college, but some of us are going to get master's degrees and we're coming back and working at McDonald's, opposed to learning how to work with our hands, some trades and stuff, because we still need people to build stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's what the miseducation of the Negro talked about, that instead of going off to college and getting these things that we can't use, a philosopher, Black people overall,
psychology.
We got a lot of philosophers, but is that going to put money in your pocket? And overall, is that going to help your people? We need people to still learn how to mass produce things. And we overall as Black people don't really do that, that I know of. Okay. So that was the group economics principles, if you will. Now, the last bird box I want to discuss is that of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Farrakhan, the leader of the Nation of Islam, has been trying to warn Black people that we need to separate and do for self. So you guys seeing the trend here? All of these people have been warning, separate and do for self. Separate, and all of them, that's all their messages have been, separate and do for self, right? Okay, so he's been warning us to do that for over 60 years now. Now, most notably, he does it by way of the annual Savior's Day address, and has done it in the well-known Million Man March. So you guys might remember 20 so years ago, they being the Nation of Islam, Farrakhan did the Million Man March, where over 1 million people showed up, and he handed off the blueprint for Black people to take back to your families and our neighborhoods and our communities and say, okay, now start building.
Start from there.
And so, again, that was the other bird box. Okay. Now, of course, there have been many other bird boxes, and I'm not saying calling them bird boxes to be disrespectful. I'm just trying to make a correlation here. That have been warning Black people, but the aforementioned ones are the ones that I chose to highlight, because I think for the most part, we all know who those people are. And I know you guys can think of 1 million other people who can liken to a bird box, and that they're sounding the alarm to Black people to wake up. Okay. And so I ask, are we going to start paying attention to the bird box? And why have we been ignoring it? So, all right, I'll get to you guys' questions. And so if you guys want
I forgot the topic. No, I'm joking. Go ahead. I'm sorry. It's so long.
Hates when I put a lot of information in, but because, I know somebody eventually is going to say, well, what does that got to do with? So I want to make sure that I was clear in why I was. Obviously, I'm using the title because it's trending, but I also thought, well, and like I said, Al was the one that gave me the idea to tie it into those people who have been sounding the alarm for Black people, which is what the birds in the movie did. for her and other people, hey, there's danger coming, you know. And if you guys as Black people are in any doubt about us, we are in danger.
So you're saying it's the fourth quarter? 2 minutes to go.
We're past the fourth quarter.
2 minutes to go.
2 seconds.
Gotcha.
2 seconds, okay? All right, so I get to all of you guys' comments. So I hope I was clear about that. And so, again, you guys click on the link. And Marcus, I wasn't able to share it from the group for whatever reason, so I'm still figuring it out. But click on the link, and you guys can go ahead and comment. And so Justin said, what's up? What's happening?
What's
Ben
up?
says, only bird box I want to see now comes with fries and a drink. I saw your post about the bird box. You weren't really in love with the movie. Hey, Jonelle, so happy to see you.
Now, is it a movie or a series?
Well.
Yes.
It's a movie.
Okay, gotcha.
It's a movie.
I'll check it out.
And Jonelle says peace to you.
Peace,
as well.
my brother. Peace to you.
And
Matter of fact,
Steve,
I recently added Jonelle to my Facebook
okay,
account.
cool.
So, cool.
And then Steve says, good evening, just got in, yay. And then it says deep correlation so far. Well, thank you, because I was like, I don't want it to sound cheesy and silly.
What happened? What happened?
I'm just looking at you because we got like a lot of noise going on. That's my daughter. She's like chewing the gum like, yo.
Like popping.
Right.
Sorry.
Oh, and Alice says, is everything okay? I didn't think it was going to be a show today. No, as I said earlier, for those of you guys who wonder why I got on a little bit late, I left my phone at home, and I realized I left my phone at home when I got to Donovan's driveway. And I live about 20 miles away, and my beautiful daughter so graciously went and got it for me. And so that's why we were a little bit late.
Actually, you live about 11 miles away.
11 miles away, but you know, with the traffic.
Yeah, traffic.
100.
12 by GPS.
Oh, 12.
God.
That's
okay,
close.
now they're going to fight about the miles. But anyway, hey, Belinda, he says, we ignore because it's uncomfortable for us. Okay, but let me ask you this, because I agree. Why is it uncomfortable? And just as you say, fear of change. But okay, let me ask you this. Where are we fear of changing from? Because if you kind of really think about it, we've been the same for a very, very long time. I mean, even the same to where none of us were even here. That's how much the same we've been. I mean, even before probably my mom and my dad, you know, my mom would have been 67 and my dad is 75 almost. So even probably right around their time and before, everything's been the same. And so, like, what are we scared of changing from? You know what I mean? And then Belinda also say we have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable for change to happen. I compare it to someone starting to go to the gym for the first time. You have to get over that hump, being uncomfortable, and see more. Oh, it keeps moving. That's why. And experiencing pain to get to the results you desire. No, I agree with that. It's, so if I get what you're saying is like, and maybe the tie in what Justice is saying, was like we're afraid to get started. But it's like, look at all the stuff that's coming down on Black people. And we're going to get into the shutdown because somebody wanted me to talk about the shutdown.
What shutdown?
The partial shutdown.
Oh, government shutdown.
Yeah, that one. The third one that we've had this year. The longest one so far.
Sure.
Because right now everybody's kind of cruising uncomfortable. Where it doesn't affect me. You know, I don't work for the government and, you know, I'm getting my social
my check. Right.
But that's right now. That's right now. So we're going to get into that. And then Jonelle says, thanks for the ad, Donovan.
Yep, absolutely, brother.
Okay, and Al says, would you read my take on the bird box from my page? I can't, because I can't go into, I can't leave here. Okay, and then so, just as institutionalized. Yeah, I mean, clearly we're institutionalized, but it's like, golly, we're talking about Marcus Garvey from 1920. And like I said, even then, Marcus Garvey was trying to get us to change. Not us, because we weren't there, but our grandparents. Or even my grandparents were, you know, born in 1927, 1919. So they were babies. But the point that I'm making is like, wow, almost 100 years now, the alarm, the bird box, if you will, has been sounding for us. Hey, you guys, we need to separate and do for self. Otherwise, we're going to be in so much trouble. Remind me to read that after the show.
Sure.
So we got to hear, Al, we'll read it after the show. And then Justice says, we have adapted to all their systems, right? Which is why it's important for us to separate. And though I understand for a lot of people, that's unpopular. Like, well, separate and do what? Separate and go where? What am I going to, like, I like where I'm at.
This good white man?
Yeah,
where are you going to go
all of that.
to get a better house than you get here?
Right. I can't imagine. Now, you know, a lot of the leaders, in the past have said, okay, well, maybe not, because Marcus Garvey was like, yo, let's leave here. He's trying to go to, I believe it was Liberia. Let's leave here. But there's a lot of people who are like, well, we can probably, there's a big chance we could do it here. But the problem now is, and Dr. Claude Anderson talks about this a lot, is that gentrification is going on. And
Absolutely.
we allow it because we won't pool our money together and buy up the land that is, the vacant lots and things like that in our neighborhood.
Gentrification always starts in the Black community because we're the only community that allows it.
Right.
You
Well,
are correct.
and then so we get mad when, Becky's running around drinking lattes in the hood, and then she's calling the cops on us like, well, we've been sitting on the stoop talking loud, and you guys are too loud, I'm going to call the police. Well, that's our fault in a way. And so I agree with you, Justice. And Belinda says it's uncomfortable because we were born and raised into the culture of racism and oppression. It is all we know. Therefore, we don't feel like addressing it. Right. And I agree with you, because that's what I was saying before. Our grandparents, it's just, we don't know any different. But it's like all these people are saying, hey, it can be different.
Well, let me ask you this question: If the majority of us started in ignorance, because let's face it, a lot of us that come from the South, they were sharecroppers, and sharecroppers, all they knew was farming and trying to pay this debt that kept us in perpetual slavery,
Right.
basically. So the few of us that did end up going to college and had those opportunities, I mean, there's more of us that are ignorant at that time for our generation than there are now. I mean, I agree with you. There's no excuse now because
Right.
you have more people that are more educated. And why are we waiting? What are we still waiting for?
Well, then there was also this thing called the talented 10th theory, in that the 10% of us who are talented were supposed to go off, acquire education or whatever knowledge, and come
bring it
back
back.
and teach it to the rest of us. And so that stopped happening. And
Well, I can say my great uncle and aunts educated a parish in Louisiana, so we did our part.
oh, excuse you. And then Belinda says, yes, afraid to get started and stick with it. Absolutely. Hey, Gina. And Al says, that is for show. That's a for show right on. No effing chewing gum. And then Belinda says, and two, there is no hope for change. Wow, do you really think there's no hope for change? You think we're just kind of like doomed? This is us?
Well, I have to disagree with her on that because the simple fact that we're the only population that's really regressing. We're not growing.
Well, yeah, we're not. How long have we been at 14%?
About 60 years.
About 60 years or so. We've been hovering around 14, 13, 12% of the population, and everybody else, even Asians who are typically
3%.
they're catching us.
Yeah.
Asians are catching us, and they've been, roughly around 3% for a long time, but now there's this boom.
7%.
Hispanics have surpassed us, like
everybody,
tripled, almost quadrupled us in number.
Right.
And so Justice said there are no revolutionaries in our families. Well, I know that, you are one because I see you on Facebook and stuff. I don't know if I'm a revolutionary, but I get your point. There's not enough of us.
No. Actually, you are. And like I was telling you about my mom right now, my mom doesn't like the delivery that I do on my show. And so the first thing that, and being a mom, I'm her son and she wants me to be safe and worry about that. But in every revolution, somebody's going to have to die.
Freedom ain't free.
Right. So, she's got to accept the fact that I'm a grown ass man and I'm going to have to do what I got to do.
Right.
And I know
well,
a lot
that's
of
your mama, your mama and you.
And in our culture, a lot of moms, what do you say it? They dehumanize or deman the men in the family.
Feminize.
Yeah, they feminize the men in their families to where there isn't a lot of guys willing to take risks on
Not
something
my
serious.
baby.
Right.
All right. Hey, Samuel says the birds were warning, but they were trapped in a box. But at the end, they were set free. I like that. I didn't even think of that. Like a people brought and trapped in a box of impending doom. Those equipped with the wings of knowledge of the time and what must be done. You know what? That's a great analogy because, at the end, the birds were set free. And that's not telling the movie, just, a small part of it. But yeah, so imagine if we heed the warning. I know the birds, were the warning. And then, gosh, if we just do some of those things, like it is said that if we open up, if 10% of Black people were to open up businesses, that would, help alleviate the unemployment rate. Now, of course, open up businesses and hire Black people, but that would almost get rid of the unemployment issue in our community and the lack of money. If we were just to open up 10% of us were to open up businesses.
Can I ask a question? How can you open up a business in a community
He says, I'm naming the birds.
Yeah.
I like that.
Right.
Like, I wish I would have consulted with you before I did this, so I should have called them the birds. Got it.
But how can you open up these businesses when you're dealing with a community that now glorifies negative activity?
Well, it's and Benny, he's not on here today, but he always talks about how we need to deprogram ourselves. And Dr. Joyce DeGruy talks about that in her masterpiece called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, and that or disorder, that we are still, even though we weren't there, we're still suffering the effects of slavery. That stuff has just trickled down to us because, as my dad always say, you can't teach what you don't know. And on the opposite end, you're going to teach what you know. And so if your parents have taught you the gloom and the doom and, Oz is never going to be nothing, when you teach your kids that too.
Well, I'll give you a small example. You're raising your kids, you're in the park. You see your kids throw trash on the ground. I've seen young mothers that will look at the child threw trash on the ground and won't say anything to correct them. It's the smallest things that you can do that could make such a difference.
Well, I will put this challenge out to you. Okay. I know you're scared, and I would be too. But if you see a mom doing that, as a kid do that, be like, hey, we all got to live here. Do you mind having your son or your daughter pick up the garbage? Only if you're brave, though. Now, since too many of us won't pay attention to the signs because the birds has already pooped on us. Wow, really?
That's deep. That's deep.
Justice. He says, back then we owned more and were educated less. Now we are more educated and own less. Ain't that something? Because you're right. And that's what Carter G. Woodson talked about. And that we've sent everybody off to get educated. But we became what you call like educated fools. Oh, I know everything. You can tell me nothing. But it's like when they came back, well, white people weren't going to hire them because we got our own thing. And black people were like, why do I need a philosopher for?
Right. Or, there was an article in Time magazine where they were talking about Uncle Thomas on the Supreme Court and his wife. And it's like, in that day, why were black men felt to be successful? They had to marry outside of their race.
I don't know how they got to feel successful to marry outside of the race. But from what I understand, a lot of black men were like, hey, that's the ultimate prize to get something that was so forbidden to me. And that's Massa's woman, and she wanted him too. So, and then Samuel says, greetings, have to leave soon. And MC at Kwanzaa program. All right. Well, have fun. And good luck with all that. I hope everything goes well. And Justice says, back then we own more, because I read that already. And then Jonelle says, but just as in Get Out, The Purge, etc. Now the Bird Box, and next is Us. Yes. Have you seen that movie? The premiere or whatever, the trailer for Us by Jordan Peele. Awesome. And he says, how many signs does it take? We done had the KKK, cops, COINTELPRO, etc. But we still pray to illusion of inclusion. It keeps moving, that's why. Okay. Illusion of inclusion, all which bears witness to our mental dead state. We have to be awakened to liberate mind to do liberating things, and we must have liberating minds to forge the way. But we so dead, we fight the birds in the box, aka our liberators. No, absolutely. It's like, gosh, at what point in time are we going to listen to somebody? And we're talking about 100 years almost, you guys. So at some point in time, somebody's got to be right. Because if you think about all their messages were the same, were they perfect people? No. Every last person I mentioned was flawed. Everybody was flawed, but their message was good. Something that will help us. Because if you think about it, their message of separation and do for self, everybody else does that. Everybody else lives separately, if you will, and they do for themselves. Like I was telling my daughter the other day, I said, let's say this shutdown goes on indefinitely, months and even a year. Who is going to be the most affected by the shutdown? It's going to be us. It said that in February, and I know it's not predominantly black people on the food stamp program. I know it's predominantly white, but it's a lot of us disproportionately. It is said that in February, the funding is going to be up for that if they don't resolve this issue. And so that means, I can't remember how many millions of people who get these food stamps. I think 45 million, maybe I could be wrong, maybe it's more, are on this food stamp program. So it's, how many of those people are black people? Okay, so let's say that we had to go to the bartering system. Who we gonna barter with? Like if I'm Mexican. Mexicans got Mexican grocery stores everywhere. So if Humberto or Guadalupe
could give me credit.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, my friend, I need, sure. Now, if I walk my ass up in there and try to get something, they're going to be like,
no credit.
We don't, right. So what are we going to do? How would we save ourselves? And let's say this shutdown lasts for a very, very, very long time. What are we going to do? And then so Justice says, right on, people are so caught up and on how it said than what it said. Yeah, you know what, he did this and he did that. Well, you know he did. It's like, okay, but is what he's saying right? You know, like a lot of people take Dr. Umar to task. Yeah, he's a flawed character. He's got some issues. He hasn't done everything perfect, but gosh, his message is pretty spot on. I mean, that's just me. And you also say regarding revolutionary. And then Sammy says, we need to get our survival kits together and quit watching the false tell-a-lie vision. Tell-lie vision. Tell vision to your lie. Or lies to your vision. That is feeding us radiation and killing us. Absolutely. We need to stop being comfortable. Donovan always talks about, what is that you say? When you go to escapism.
Escapism.
Donovan always talks about we like to participate in escapism a lot. There's nothing wrong with escapism, watching TV and movies and things like that, but it's like you got to balance that out with, like
reality.
you said, reality. You know, getting some knowledge, getting prepared, because God forbid something goes down, what we going to do?
Exactly.
You know? Hey, Romel. And you say fear of a black planet because all the PE, because all other races want to be with a black man / woman, so the percentage is only that of blacks. How have the other or mixed folks risen? Well, I mean, they have. I mean, and then they say that we are 17% if you include mixed people that are mixed with black. So because not all mixed people claim black.
Claim black, exactly.
Some mixed people, if they're white or black, say, I'm white. They can do that. And so he says, haven't seen the movie yet. It's on Netflix. You should check it out. Give me your opinion. And Al says, what about the BS my mom was telling me that all the success she received was only from God and not her? Well, I mean, God he's given us abilities to help ourselves. And so I get where your mom was going. She gives the glory to God, but the victory belongs to us and the physical effort belongs to us. So yes, it's a joint effort, if you will. And Belinda says, all I have to offer is free medical services. Is that acceptable to barter? Well, I mean,
to some folks it is, yeah.
You have a skill that everybody needs. Everybody's gonna, but good luck because they got doctors too, you know. But I mean, I know that sounds kind of silly, but that's like you really think about, because back before we had cash, we bartered. We used the bartering system.
But you know, in her defense, I mean, I would really be kind of, if we had to barter with ourselves. If you got these people that are on, let's say, Medi-Cal. They're not, you know, they can't even afford to pay that. So what would they barter with?
Right. I mean, and for now, the Medi-Cal system is up and running. But let's just say, Trump has already said we're going to freeze the pay raise of all these federal workers. So y'all ain't getting no pay raises.
You know, and the funny thing about that, my mom's a federal worker. And the funny thing was that was something that was already approved last year.
Yeah, they were looking to get this money in January. He's like, I need my wallet. And then I'm just going to merge this in. So the shutdown, for those of you guys don't know, the partial shutdown is something that happened about a week ago because Trump wanted his $5 billion.
I want my wall. I'm going to shut the government down and don't give my wall. I'm going to give me my wall.
Pretty much.
Okay,
so he needs his $5 billion for the wall. And so the Democrats who control the House is like, no, you ain't getting it. And so he's like, well, fine, I own the shutdown. That's what he said.
That's it. Exactly.
I own the shutdown. The shutdown will be on me. And I'm basically not budging until I get my money from my wall. And that isn't
how government operates. But here's the funny thing. They were going to give him $25 million back in August. $25 billion. Sorry, $25 billion.
Okay.
To if he would sign off on DACA. He said no.
Oh, that's kind of counterproductive to what he wants, right?
But in government, that's how government works. You give me something, I give you something.
That's almost too good to be true. You know damn well he ain't going to sign off on DACA, which is why they made it $25 billion.
Right.
So how serious is he really?
Is he really?
Right. And so Jonelle says that's why liberators must teach and put liberation to practices despite all odds within or without. The one with the vision can truly listen to those without, the haters and the naysayers, the liberators, the ones with the vision, got to keep on pushing and planting seeds for the benefit of the whole and invest in truth and reality in the further of future, I think you meant. We are fighting for the new and the breaking away from the old, as LeBron stated, to hell with them old slave masters that's working to keep their pimping alive. Yes, and you know, of course, LeBron took a lot of heat because he was speaking truth to power. It is a plantation.
Yeah, but don't be talking about no Jews.
Hey, Thomas, he says, I'm just passing through. Yeah, so, right, and to your point about LeBron, people are mad with him. But he's like, and I love LeBron. I don't know a thing about him as far as an athlete, but I know him. I've seen him come to the forefront politically and for his people. This man has every dime in the world that he could ever use, will never be able to spend all this money. And he is now saying, because that's where you're supposed to get. You're supposed to get to the point where you're comfortable and say, now, being comfortable means nothing if my people are suffering. And he's starting to speak about that. And Donovan, hold your horses.
I'm holding. Okay? I'm holding.
This morning, I saw a video of Tiffany Haddish. Somebody had given her a fur coat, and she basically said in this video, Peter, don't come for me, because if you do, I want to know when you're going to start complaining about the black people that are murdered by the police. When you start doing something about black people who are murdered by the police, then I will start listening to you. I was like, okay, she got me as a fan now. She got, because somehow, somewhere, somebody, I don't know, somebody's talking to her, or she's just like, you know what?
From what I've read about that situation with Tiffany Haddish, real quick, is somebody told her shtick is running pretty low, so maybe she needs to kind of,
smart. Right. It's smart. It's
change
smart.
up a little bit.
She's got the platform now. Right. She's got everybody's attention
while she's still relevant.
Right. And what's Peter gonna say? Well, because basically what she was saying is, what you ain't gonna tell me is that animals mean more to you than people. They don't mean more than people to me.
Well, for me, I'd rather deal with the animal. Shut up. Right. I'd rather deal with the animal.
And Al says, as Donovan does. He remembers, and he put it all the way down so I can see it. Remembers that gold scene from the Trespass movie? Oh, no. You will not get started here. Okay. The Trespass movie with Ice-T.
Yeah, Ice-T and Bill Pullman.
Getting on my nerves, cracking up about this one scene. Don't do it.
Right,
and Belinda says he better be careful. And Belinda says, I love Tiffany. You know, Belinda, I'll be honest with you, I haven't always been a Tiffany fan. But what I saw this morning, I'll say it won me over. Because I'm like, wow. Tiffany is at the top of her game. She can do like a lot of black people do. Like, woman, she is.
Well, not really. She's kind of on the downside. Her movies have flopped, so they're kind of going away from her.
But she's still considered that it girl for a lot of people. I mean, she just is, whether we've seen her movies or not, she is considered the it girl. And she could have done like a lot of people and say, well, you know, that's you Negroes over there. It's not me. But she made a huge statement. She made a huge statement that, Peter, please. Because she knew they were going to say something, but it's like, talk about the murder, black people getting murdered, and then we could talk about your freaking animals. Excuse me. I didn't mean to say freaking animals. Donovan is Donovan's an animal lover.
Yes.
All right.
I'm a voice for the voiceless.
And then Al says, I heard that Tiffany is dating Common now. I heard that too.
Common hitting all the...
Well, maybe that's why she's, becoming
getting more conscious. He probably schooled her a little bit.
Okay, hey, Michi. Says, my husband always say, kick a dog and you will go to jail, but a human life means nothing. Absolutely.
No, you're wrong. You guys are all wrong about that. A black life means nothing.
Okay, got it. Yes. A black life means nothing. Yeah.
You shoot a white woman or a white man, oh man, hell breaks loose.
You go right out in the middle of the boulevard and even holler at a dog in the middle of the street. Okay? Go to your local mall or plaza where, a lot of white people congregate and holler at a dog and see what happens to you.
I mean, Michael Vick is still getting crap for his indiscretion, and he wasn't even involved in it.
But, we are not to be forgiven, ever. Right. But he could have went out. I mean, hell, I know he was not found guilty.
No,
he wasn't. Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis was involved in a double murder, stabbing. And they love him. At the the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, they gave this dude the last moment to speak, and this dude, I don't know what he was talking about, but they gave him like a half an hour sermon. They love him, and I'm assuming these people were black that died. It's like, well, where is the uproar? How come every time, I know he's retired now, but how come every time he took the field, there wasn't people protesting and
because it was a black life that did not matter.
So Michi, tell your husband he is right, and Donovan's adding that if it's a black life. And let's see. And then Belinda says, I agree. And then so Michi says, okay, a black life.
I mean, because think about it.
I added the extra on it.
Because think about it. The white football player, Tillman, that left the Arizona Cardinals, joined the Army, got killed.
Tillman.
Yeah, got killed by his own unit.
Well, they lied at first.
And there's memorials all over for him and all this other stuff because we don't want you to forget what a great guy he was.
Right, so to your point, anytime people talk about Kaepernick, they'll invoke Pat Tillman. Oh no, that's a real,
Hero.
And it's like, dude, he got killed by friendly fire. I'm not saying that being murdered,
Yeah.
because essentially that's what he was.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not saying that he didn't initially go out there and fight for the country, but damn, like he was killed by friendly fire. So I mean,
right, and fighting for the country in one capacity and fighting for the country in another capacity. Colin Kaepernick is doing nothing different than any of those soldiers fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq right now. He's just taking a stand from his position and using his platform.
right, and what a beautiful thing.
It is.
Can you imagine having all that money? Listen, no shade to Oprah. I think Oprah's a lovely woman. I'm not saying Oprah don't do things. I mean, admittedly, she probably does things we don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't it be nice to see someone like Oprah or Tyler Perry or your Lee Daniels, these people who are very prominent, and I get why they're prominent, but wouldn't it be nice to see them or hear them say, hey, you know what? Stop killing black people. All right? Not Barack Obama. He's not president anymore, so I get it. Okay, when he was president, certain things he couldn't say, and he had to tiptoe. But okay, you ain't president no more, brother. That's nice. You got a nice, wonderful music list of 2018 you want us all to listen to.
Your basketball bracket,
all
and all
of
that
that other
stuff.
stuff. But what can you now, can you say something for black people? How about saying, yeah, black people are disproportionately murdered by the police, and it'd be nice if you guys will stop doing it. So Barack Obama, let's just say President Barack Obama, is nominated in all these polls as the most beloved and admired president ever. So use your platform, because people are listening to you. They love you. Use your platform to now say, hey, Black lives really matter. I ain't talking about the Black Lives Matter movement. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about in general. Let's stop killing black people.
It'd be nice if the President's Club, all those guys that are on the President's Club, would come out and say what a dirtbag this president is. I mean, outside of Clinton, you can't throw rocks and hide your hand. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like Michelle Obama's tried to do it to some degree. And then Michi says, my husband says, why no black soldiers are never recognized or given a Purple Heart gold medal or gold star?
Well, they are. It's just that they're not highlighted, because a gold star, there's levels of achievement and stuff. And I don't know if Michi's husband was in the military and stuff. There are some of them are getting Medal of Honor after years of World War II.
So you're saying it's just not widely publicized?
Yeah, it's not widely publicized.
So you're saying it's not widely publicized?
Yeah, because a good example of me, like I got a lot of awards and stuff, and then I never wore this one uniform, and I wore it one time, and and that's just a credit to black people of how humble we really are, because I wasn't really into award ceremonies. I'm trying to survive. So when I put on all my stuff, everybody's like, holy crap.
Right, Donovan's very decorated.
Yeah.
So. I think the only thing is missing is a Purple Heart.
Yeah, well, the Medal of Honor.
Medal of Honor. Got it. And then let's see here. And so Brandy said, nope. So you don't think Oprah or any of them is going to speak out? And Belinda says, I think they have said it in their actions. So they've said it in you say pro-black people or against black people. And then Marcus, and you guys, please, if you're not able to comment, click on the link somewhere in here, and you'll be able to comment. And then Marcus will say, you got to go back and look how long Oprah's been arguing the point in fighting that fight, even back when she had her own show. Okay, so again, like I said, I'm not saying I don't know all that Oprah does. I'm sure, as I said, Oprah does a lot of stuff we just don't know about. Mm-hmm. Because in essence, you're supposed to do stuff for people and not, look at me, I'm doing this now. I mean, if you're supposed to be humble about it. And so again, I'm not saying she doesn't do anything, but I'm just saying in general, But then I've also heard the other side of this argument too. Maybe Oprah is one of those black people who are like, you know what? I'm not going to waste my breath and resources on, because we know she does stuff in Africa, but African Americans, because maybe they don't want to change, so I'd rather go and fight the fight where they are trying to change. I don't know. They haven't spoken to Oprah yet. So, so anyway, and so how are we doing on the podcast?
Just keep on going.
Okay. And so, I don't see any more comments. So again, as I said, you guys, if you want to comment, please click on the link or, send me a comment. And if you have anything at all, I know we're ending the old year, 2018, going to 2019. If anything at all you guys want to talk about that I haven't addressed, please do. We'll go ahead and chop it up, because we got about how much time?
45 minutes.
45 minutes, because we did start late.